Welcome to the Hot Seat Interview. I'm your host, Maggy Martinez, and today we are discussing one of the most important issues impacting our democracy today: voting rights, district lines, representation, and the future of political power in Georgia. Recent decisions by the U.S. Supreme Court are already raising concerns across the country about how minority will be representing moving forward, especially in southern states like Georgia. Questions are being raised about voting access, district maps, PAC influence, and the direction of the Democratic Party itself. Joining us today is Daunta Long, is a political analyst and state member for the Democratic Party of Georgia. So let's dive in.
Present Starbound Studios starring Maggy Martinez and the Hot Seat Interview. Y ahora con ustedes, Maggy Martinez en Caliente.
Welcome, Daunta Long to the Hot Seat Interview. Today is going to be very interesting.
Well, as always, Maggie, it is a pleasure and an honor to be here at the Hot Seat with you and discussing the hot topics of today's political climate.
Definitely. Daunta, the U.S. Supreme Court recently issued a decision related to discrimination by race that could impact future voting rights and redistricting cases across the country. How do you believe this ruling may affect minorities like Latin Americans, Asians, and Black Americans?
So what it really does, it heightens their position in the political climate. I think what really happens is that most times we look at these minority groups and we marginalize them and think that they only will affect a small percentage of the electorate. But as we have begun to see over the last decade, particularly here in Georgia, which was a predominantly red state for many, many decades, now we're starting to see with the influx of minorities that are beginning to move into the metropolitan area of Atlanta, we're starting to see that many of these minorities are taking a more prevalent position in a lot of the 159 counties, and particularly the 13 that surround at least metropolitan Atlanta area.
Well, I wrote a book for those that are running for office, The Secrets of Campaigning, so you think you could run. It's available on Amazon. Please subscribe to the channel. It's very important because we want to keep this conversation going. And I want to say a big thank to AJ Jane, who did an enormous donation to the show to buy the equipment needed to be up to technology. AJ Jane, from the bottom of our heart, thank you, thank you, thank you. And he's running for insurance commissioner for the state of Georgia. Well, many voters, Daunta, have expressed concern about long lines. You know, they have eliminated basically all the drop box to bring your absentee ballot. What reforms will you support to strengthen voters' confidence and increase party participation since you are a state member for the Democratic Party of Georgia?
Sure. Wonderful question, Maggie. I think where we have seen such a success is through the early voting platforms that have been taken advantage of by a lot of minorities. I think that we saw in the 2020 presidential race how many minorities took advantage of early voting. We're starting to see even in this particular election cycle, we've seen record numbers in many of the states around the metropolitan Atlanta area. And so I just believe that while we're seeing a lot of the absentee methods being rolled back, I think it's time to double down and continue to ask all of the individuals who are registered to vote to get out and do it early.
That's right.
There is nothing wrong with getting out to vote early. We've also seen that we now have the availability to vote on particular Saturdays and even Sundays. So for those who work and are unable to get out to vote during the day, then maybe they can even take advantage of the Saturday voting and even the Sunday voting, because this will continue to be one of the most effective strategies that we can utilize to get many of our registered voters out to vote.
Well, Governor Brian Kemp has called a special session, which is going to be June 17. Already the slots to participate are completely full because I called yesterday. But I will be submitting my deposition in writing just to make sure that my voice as a Latin American person can be heard.
Yeah.
Do you believe Black, Latino, and Asian communities in Georgia are in risk of losing their political representation?
I think that there is an attempt. I think what our governor has begun to do is to see the threat that many of our minority communities are posing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is aware. I think his base is absolutely terrified and afraid. And so I think they're going to continue to do what they know, and that is to try to redraw and to scale back and to do things behind closed doors. But one of the things,
and this is already happening.
yeah,
I just want people to know that this is already happening.
Yeah, I think we need to be aware of the tactics that the governor and his base and his camp are utilizing. But one of the things I'm very encouraged about is that just within the last 2 years, we've seen nearly 65,000 individuals move into metropolitan Atlanta. I think one study highlighted that it was seen that nearly 80% of the 65,000 people that have moved right here into the metropolitan Atlanta area have been minorities.
Oh, excellent.
And so this is something that I know that we've not brought a lot of attention to, but while the governor is doing his best to try to really attempt to redraw the lines and to, I hate to use the word, but gerrymander.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what I'm most encouraged about is the 65,000 that have moved here and getting as many of those registered to vote if they're not already registered, or getting them to know their district and getting them to know their precincts and getting them to know the early voting polling locations. I think this will continue to be something that we can look forward to as we increase our electorate here in the state of Georgia.
Well, we know as a fact that this is already happening. There are closed doors, redistricting, everything.
Yeah.
We're going to lose back how many seats in the House and Senate and Congress?
Well, it is projected that we will lose about 6 of the state representative seats that are currently being held here in the state of Georgia. I think there are 2 state Senate seats that are at risk of being rolled back. And I think that here again, this is very unfortunate that we are looking to see that these seats be eliminated from our state. Oh man, it's really something that I thought I'd never live to see. But
That's right. Well, civil rights organizations have argued that some election laws and redistricting decisions affects the Black, the Latino, and the Asian community by weakening their voting rights.
Right.
Do you believe Georgia is doing enough to protect the voting rights?
I do not feel at this point we're doing enough. Mm-hmm. But as I said earlier, I'm encouraged. If I could say this, I'm also encouraged that it is projected that within the next 10 years that we should see at least an additional 1 million individuals that will be moving into the state of Georgia, particularly within the metropolitan region. Yes, there are going to be some that move into rural areas across our state, but the high concentrated area of tremendous growth will happen within the metropolitan area and some of the outskirts. I lift that up to say that no, the state has not been doing its fair, taking their fair position with how they have drawn some of these maps. I think about what they did with that congressional seat. I think it was Lucy Macbeth.
Yeah,
How
District
they
6.
how yeah the six how they went out of their way to redraw it so that they could exclude a lot of minorities. But ultimately, she prevailed, and I'm watching how they are attempting to do the same thing all over again. But I'm encouraged that, again, as I said earlier, 65,000 have moved here within the last 2 years. It is projected that over 1 million will move here over the next decade to 15 years. And so with that, I think that we have a promising future. Whether the state does their part, I think the volume of the electorate is what's most promising for us.
Definitely, and it's really basic. Go out and vote.
Go out and vote. Absolutely.
Don't think one vote is not important. You know how many elections we have seen that people won by one vote, three
Right.
votes,
Less
or-
than 100. Most of our local elections are decided by less than 100 people. And so if you're registered to vote, I know that there is a apathetical approach that is happening in a lot of our communities when it comes to local elections. But what we're seeing the governor do here in the state is far more significant than what you're seeing in presidential and other elections. It's time for us to get out and vote in all of our local elections. And while we're in this particular political season, if you have not taken advantage of early voting, you need to get out on election day to make sure that you cast your ballot.
And not only that, what they're trying to do is because they want to still hold the power at the state level, in the Senate chamber, and at the state level at the state representative chamber.
Right.
And if we get a governor that is Democrat in office now in November, still he's going to go or she's going to go in with no power. And that's not a good thing, because then the agenda of the Democratic Party cannot work at all for you and your family.
Absolutely.
Well, the issue of redistricting continues to spark debate in Georgia. What do you think is going to happen when this new redistricting comes in, and how do you think the Republicans are going to act this time?
I think when it happens this time, we're going to see a lot of those Republicans become extremely aggressive to rally around their existing base and new base that, a lot of the redrawing will allow them participate. And they're gonna hunker down. They're gonna make sure that they get their base out to vote, while many of us become apathetical, and while some of us get tired and remain clueless as to when we should vote and who we should vote for, and continue to practice this whole idea that it doesn't matter. And as they redraw these districts, and as we lose these districts, again, projected that 6 of the districts will be totally eradicated, it's going to be time for us to really make sure that we say to our electorate, get out and vote. And I know you're saying, but you've said this 3 times already in the last 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. The message is clear. We have to get out and vote. We must get out, and we must rally those that are around us to get out, because, as I said a moment ago, our Republican counterparts are going to make sure that they rally their base. We have to make sure that we rally our base.
Well, something happened locally here in McDonough and Locust Grove. We never saw a campaign with PAC money so monumental going into Henry County. How do you believe the Democratic candidates should conduct themselves during a primary election? And what impact do you think campaigning and PACs have or influence in any local campaign? And another thing that I want to talk about is ethics. We don't have an ethics committed within the Democratic Party, and this is something we have to push, because that way we have a forum where we could bring a candidate that is going against another Democrat saying lies, which is not okay.
Yeah. It's something that, again, you highlight that we've never seen before. PAC money that we believe has infused into the campaign of a particular, or it is believed now, to 2 of the candidates that I believe some reports are indicating that it's over $100,000 into local elections.
And we are referring to District 117 in Henry
117,
County.
absolutely.
In the history that I have worked with Henry County, I have been working since 2016. It's the first time I see something like this.
Absolutely. We've never seen anything of the likes. $100,000 plus, giving the advantage to these candidates to run TV ads and bulk mail and social media ads and phone calls and text messages on a vast scale that no other political candidate has ever had. And we're watching how these particular Democratic candidates receiving PAC money, which I believe is grossly unfair, because in our local elections, it should be local monies supporting local candidates
And the local
not
voters.
special interest money coming from rich donors outside of our local election. And so this is something that has really raised eyebrows and caught the attention of many people like myself and yourself, seeing that these PAC dollars and their negative effects on, District 117.
We've seen on these ads a big lie. It's a huge lie.
Yeah.
Marianne Santos, the incumbent for District 117, is not Republican. But they're using this PAC money to go against her and to say a big lie. And you know how lies are. You say it again and say it again and say it again until people believe it. What is your take about that?
Yeah, I think it's grossly unfair. I'm saying today I am not here to support any particular one of the Democratic candidates, but I am here to say that when we promulgate malicious lies and we, again, use PAC dollars to multiply it into the homes and onto the devices of over 100,000 people. And we see that this lie continues to go forth day after day. And people have said that they've gotten numerous text messages and emails and saw ads that really have painted this particular Democratic incumbent to be associated with the Republican Party. Is just grossly unfair.
Do you think we should have a committee, ethics committee within the Democratic Party? And just so people know, he's a state member for the Democratic Party. I'm a state member for the Democratic Party. So it's important that we bring this to the attention in the next convention in August.
Absolutely. I plan to be there and I plan to lift this up because, again, when you use PAC dollars to promulgate malicious lies, it really has a negative connotation within our own party.
That's right.
And no, I don't think that the Republicans are behind this. I really believe that this happens because of special interest, using special interest dollars to paint this. And we need ethics. Yes, we do need a state ethics board that will look into this. We need local county ethics boards to look into this. And even what I really believe is that we really need to lift our voices as we're doing today on this platform to say to those special interest groups, those PAC dollars, that you really should be ashamed of yourself for spreading these malicious lies against an incumbent that has been or rather I can say it like this, has been long associated with the Democratic Party.
Well, Daunta, this conversation is not over. I think we should do another show to talk about this and to follow up to what's going to happen in June 17 with the special session that Governor Brian Kemp has called in. Thank you for coming again to the Hot Seat Interview.
Maggie, as always, it's a pleasure, and I thank you for giving me this time to talk about what's going on in our community.
Well, you heard it. Daunta Long, he's a political analyst and state member for the Democratic Party of Georgia. And stay informed, but it's important that you go out and vote and be informed of what's going to happen in the special session in June 17. This is Maggy Martinez, the Hot Seat Interview. Until next time.